All right, what's up, family? I normally do not go live on Mondays or Wednesdays for that matter, unless it is something very urgent that happens or there's some breaking news. Fridays for that matter, and even Saturdays. But I could not and I was going to talk about this tomorrow. I probably will. But we have some breaking news. According to the New York Times, there was a leaked opinion by the United States Supreme Court that allegedly shows that the United States Supreme Court will overturn Roe v. Wade. Now, Roe v. Wade and also Planned Parenthood versus Casey. This case, of course, Roe v. Wade, as you know, is a landmark 1973 Supreme Court decision which ruled that abortion was a fundamental right for a female to have, and that after the second before the second trimester of a baby, they did not find that a fetus was viable. This will change everything that we've known for the last 50 plus years. So, Roe v. Wade, I find it interesting. Roe v. Wade's anniversary is in January when that decision was handed down. And now in 1972, that was in 1973, it was, I believe, argued in 1972. So, roughly 50 years later, it's going to be overturned by a 5-4 decision. Yeah, what a leak. Some chick named Star. Who would leak? As much as I've known the Supreme Court, as much as we know and follow them, those things are, whoever leaked that is going to be fired. And who leaked it, I don't know. I'm assuming it was probably an employee who had of one of the justices who had obviously a connection with the media. They leaked it to them, and it went viral, and it's trending right now. So, as we read the article here, it's coming from Politico. I actually have the opinion pulled up. This is from a court case called Thomas E. Dobbs, State Health Officer of the Mississippi Department of Health, versus Jackson Women's Health Organization. That's just the term for abortionists. Whenever they say the Women's Health Organization, that's just the abortionists. That's the uh, that's the people who vote on these decisions. They want, of course, they are pro-abortion. That's what they want. Now, as we read the decision, it's 100. I mean, I haven't read all of it. Of course, I'm sure there's a dissenting opinion in here. I'm pretty sure that there's a concurring opinion in here, but it was a 5-4 decision with uh, the Chief Justice Samuel Alito. Uh, I'm sorry, Justice Samuel Alito rendering this decision, or writing this decision, I should say. Uh, John Roberts is the Chief Justice. I apologize. Yeah. So he says here, he starts by saying abortion presents a profound moral issue on which Americans hold sharply conflicting views. Some believe fervently that a human person comes into being at conception and that abortion ends an innocent life. Others feel just as strongly that any regulation of abortion invades a woman's right to control her own body and prevents women from achieving full equality. Still, others in the third group think that abortion should be allowed under some but not all circumstances, and those within this group hold a variety of views about the particular restrictions that should be imposed. For the first 185 years after the adoption of the Constitution, each state was permitted to address this issue in accordance with the views of its citizens. And then in 1973, this court decided Roe v. Wade. The citation on that is 410 U.S. 113. Now, I'll pause right here. There's another court case that came out called Doe versus Dalton, which was a companion case with your Roe v. Wade. Roe v. Wade, of course, made abortion legal across the United States, calling it a fundamental right. But Doe versus Dalton, which was the companion case or sister case with that, was even much more a landmark case because that allowed abortion to be given for any reasons. For it, they phrased it for the health of the mother. That's the way that Doe versus Dalton was phrased. I'm sorry, it's Doe v. Bolton. I said Dalton. And in that decision, and that was overturning the abortion law of Georgia. Uh, it held that the procedural conditions in the Georgia Criminal Code 26-1202B violated the 14th Amendment. Of course, you know the 14th Amendment guarantees equal protection under the law, fundamental right of due process, etc. Right to life, liberty, and privacy. Under the under the 14th Amendment, which we know was designed to give citizenship towards Black Americans and freed slaves, it broadly became something else that we see. Other groups have co-opted it and put up their things for it, what they wanted. The alphabet group, feminists, illegal immigrants, and so forth, and it means something applies to them now. Applies to all American citizens born in the United States. And of course, now they are applying it even to other groups of people. But Doe versus Bolton, what happened was there was a pregnant woman who used the pseudonym Mary Doe in court papers to protect her identity. She sued the Attorney General of Georgia, Arthur K. Bolton, as the official responsible for enforcing the law in the United States District Court in Georgia, and she filed a federal lawsuit in the District Court of the Northern District of Georgia. And Georgia law permitted abortion only in cases of rape, severe fetal deformity, or possibility of severe or fatal injury to the mother. Other restrictions include a requirement that the procedure be approved in writing by 3 physicians and by a 3-member special committee, that either continued pregnancy would endanger the pregnant woman's life or seriously and permanently injure her health. The fetus would very likely be born with a grave, permanent, and irremediable mental or physical defect, or the pregnancy resulted from rape or incest. In addition, only Georgia residents could receive abortions under this statutory scheme. Non-residents could not have an abortion in Georgia under any circumstances. So her attorney, the woman's name, her real life name was Sandra Cano. And I'm just looking at this. Now, this is the woman, Sandra Cano is the woman who was Doe. I want y'all to look at this. I'm going to take this off, but you notice with these women, especially her, Norma McCorvey was Roe, Jane Roe. You notice all of these women are homely. Now, that's the woman who who laid up with this. I don't like speaking ill of the dead, but damn. And what gets me, and I guess people change as they get older, but I find it interesting that once they get a part of this movement, they were part of this, they co-signed it, then all of a sudden they find God and want to overturn it. I made a mistake. I can't deal with this no more. You supported this stuff. Jane Roe in particular, she lied. I've told you the story about her, how they tried to say that this was the result of a rape. That didn't happen. It didn't happen. But yet, as a result, abortion becomes legal in the United States. Your lie cost millions to die. Now, I know there are going to be people in this chat. There are going to be people at home who are watching this video who are going to stand with abortion. Or you're going to say, well, I don't support abortion. I think that, in circumstances, it should be legal. As far as incest and rape is fine. I can't change what you believe. What you ultimately believe determines, though, how you behave to a degree. And what I can tell you, and I'm not judging anybody, but as someone who has witnessed a live abortion take place, and this was a video I saw, I told you to film, back in 1984. I witnessed an abortion take place, and the movie was called The Silent Scream. It was by far the most disturbing thing, if not one of the most, this most disturbing thing I've ever seen in my life. What happened to George Floyd, yes, that was very extremely disturbing. And this one is right up there because I'm not comparing the two, but I can't compare the two because this was a baby. And I got upset watching the film because I saw the kid fight for his life. When they say that it's not really a baby, it's a fetus, it's a clump of tissue, it's nothing, they doesn't harm them, they're not gonna know what happens. Really? Just go see if you can find that video online. I don't know if it's still available, but you can probably find it online on YouTube. You can find it anywhere. But look for the movie The Silent Scream. And I challenge people who support abortion to watch it. Even if you don't want to watch that, watch Martha 21 by which Pastor Clenard Childress. He is featured in that documentary. He's a pro life advocate. I might have to have I've had Pastor Childress come on this channel before. I might have him come on and talk about this because I'm sure he's looking at it and is rejoicing about it. But let's go back and look at that. But that's the main thing for me why I'm opposed to it. I saw it and it changed my life. It changed my mind. I was always opposed to it, but I was like, well, maybe in some circumstances. But when I looked at the footage, I was like, no, I can't do this. But but I want to talk about now. I know some people are going to disagree with me, and that's fine. I can't change how you disagree with me. A lot of people disagree. I can't. I'm not going to fight over it. I had a woman who I would never forget. Someone, we were in law school and we were talking about Roe v. Wade and abortion, and she was of the position, well, I'm a woman. You can't tell me what I can do with my body. You can't tell me what I can do with your body. It's like, well, technically speaking, isn't it not your body? It's the body of another person that's being aborted. Your child. No, it's my body. But your body is not being killed and chopped up. If you lie down with someone, you have a child with that person. You chose to open your legs. You chose to unzip your pants. You got, and this is for both. It's not just the female. This is the male too. I don't want anybody to think I'm just attacking women. No, that's not about that. It's about two consenting adults. This normally happens that came together in a night of passion, and they had an unforeseen consequence that took place. Well, life happens. But Doe v. Bolton is a case that, in a 7-2 decision, which invalidated most of the restrictions of the Georgia abortion law and included the medical approval and residency requirements. So they reiterated the protected right to privacy. That is the fundamental right that the Supreme Court was talking about in Roe v. Wade and in Doe versus Bolton. So as I read this more, before she died, Sandra Connell filed a motion to reopen the case, claiming that she had not been aware that the case had been filed on her behalf and that had she known, she would not have supported the legislation. The district court denied her motion and she appealed. The appeals court denied it. Then she requested the Supreme Court to review it. And of course, they declined to review. So the definition of health They define whether, in the words of the Georgia statute, an abortion is necessary is a professional judgment that the Georgia physician will be called upon to make routinely. We agree with the district court that the medical judgment may be exercised in the light of all factors physical, emotional, psychological, familial, and the woman's age relevant to the well being of the patient. All these factors may relate to health. So there was a broad definition as to health, very broad, and it wasn't narrow. So it essentially allowed, under that doctrine, abortion for any and all reasons. What's up, Black Voltron? Black Voltron, Derek Bailey. Black Voltron said, I saw a clip of Silent Scream. As a black father to my daughter, I'm not sure if I can watch that movie. I can't even imagine aborting my baby girl. It was hard. I was a teenager watching it. I went to parochial school, so the Catholic Church, as you know, has been the biggest proponent of life. They have been the opponent to the culture of death. That's what John Paul II described, and Pope Francis even reiterated how this is the culture of death that is promoted throughout our country and our nation and our world. Now, I'm not arguing with you all about whether you believe in God and what your thoughts are on the church, because yes, I know the history of racism and so forth. I'm not talking about that. But what I am saying is that when we look at the stuff that we see in the world today, there is a lack of, I've noticed more and more, a lack of concern for our fellow man's life, a lack of concern for the well being of others. No morals are taught in school anymore. Kids are disrespectful to their elders, to their parents. Um, People are robbing each other. People are killing each other. We have a host of problems. So it's not just, no, it's not just linked to abortion, but it's a whole bunch of stuff that's going on. But it starts here, because if we abort our babies, we are aborting the future leaders of America, of this country. Who knows? We probably could have had a black president before Barack Obama. I'm still waiting for the first black president, to be honest. We could have had what if we had a Supreme Court justice before Ketanji Brown Jackson, a black woman? By the way, most of these fetuses, if you're going to call it a fetus, but I say a baby, that have been aborted, by all statistics, remember there's male and female. Most of them have been female. So much for a woman's choice. But I'm going to talk about the legal aspect. And look, I just jumped on here when I saw this on my phone because I was actually at the gym and I was leaving when I got the notification. I was before I left, I saw it, and I said I had to come home, and I told my folks about it. I said I was going to get up and do this live stream. I don't come on here unless it's an emergency, it's big news. So this is actually huge that this has happened. And I know there are going to be people who don't support this, obviously, but I'm going to read basically from my understanding. I haven't had a chance to read this decision in its entirety, but he says in one part of the sentence, he says this. He says, Roe either ignored or misstated this history, referring to, let me read this paragraph in B. Until the latter part of the 20th century, there was no support in American law for a constitutional right to obtain an abortion. Zero. I'm on page, this is a first draft. Now, notice at the top it says first draft. So it means it's going to be revised. But this was circulated February 10th. And if the decision was 5-4, that means the judges have already voted on it. So for those that are saying that it's not official yet, no, it's not necessarily official, but the judges, I believe, vote before they make a decision on before they actually write their opinion. They make a decision and vote on it and how the majority will go. And the justice whose turn it is to write the opinion or who decides to write the opinion, they'll do it and have their law clerks do it. Now, you read this part here. Until the latter part of the 20th century, there was no support in American law for a constitutional right to obtain an abortion. Zero. No state constitutional provision had recognized such a right. Until a few years before Roe was handed down, no federal or state court had recognized such right, nor had any scholarly treatise of which we are aware. And although law review articles are not reticent about advocating new rights, the earliest article proposing a constitutional right to abortion that has come to our attention was published only a few years before Roe. Not only was there no support for such a constitutional right until shortly before Roe, but abortion had long been a crime in every single state. That is correct. At common law, abortion was criminal in at least some stages of pregnancy and was regarded as unlawful and could have very serious consequences at all stages. American law followed the common law until a wave of statutory restrictions in the 1800s expanded criminal liability for abortions. By the time of the adoption of the 14th Amendment, 3/4 of the states had made abortion a crime at any stage of pregnancy, and the remaining states would soon follow. He says Roe either ignored or mistreated this history, and Casey declined to consider Roe's faulty historical analysis. It is therefore important to set the record straight. We begin with the common law, under which abortion was a crime at least after quickening, i.e., the first felt movement of the fetus in the womb, which usually occurs between the 16th and 18th week of pregnancy. The eminent common law authorities, Calla versus Kansas, all describe abortion after quickening as criminal. Henry de Brockton's 13th century treatise explains that if a person has struck a pregnant woman or has given her a poison whereby he has caused an abortion, if the fetus be already formed and animated, and particular if it be animated, he commits homicide. He goes on further, saying Sir Edward Cook's 17th century treatise likewise asserts that abortion of a quick child was murder if the child be born alive, and a great misprision if the child dieth in her body. English cases dating, I'm paraphrasing through all of this. English cases dating all the way back to the 13th century corroborate the treatise's statements that abortion was a crime. Now, this is based off of Mississippi law. I'm just going through all of this. See how thorough this is. This is 30 pages so far of the opinion. He says here, in drawing this critical distinction between the abortion right and others' rights, it is not necessary to dispute Casey's claim, which we accept for the sake of argument, that the specific practices of states at the time of the adoption of the 14th Amendment do not mark the outer limits of the substantive sphere of liberty which the 14th Amendment protects. Abortion is nothing new. It has been addressed by lawmakers for centuries, and the fundamental moral question that it poses is ageless. Defenders of Roe and Casey do not claim that any new scientific learning calls for a different answer to the underlying moral question, but they do contend that changes in society require, the recognition of a constitutional right to obtain an abortion. Without the ability of abortion, they maintain people will be inhibited from exercising their freedom to choose the types of relationships they do desire, and will be unable to compete with men in the workplace and in other endeavors. Americans who believe that abortion should be restricted press countervailing arguments about modern developments. They note that the attitudes about the pregnancy of unmarried women have changed drastically, that federal and state laws ban discrimination on the basis of pregnancy, that leave for pregnancy and childbirth are now guaranteed by law in many cases, that the cost of medical care associated with pregnancy are covered by insurance or government assistance, that states have increasingly adopted safe haven laws which generally allow women to drop off babies anonymously, and a woman who puts her newborn baby up for adoption today has little reason to fear that the baby will not find a suitable home. They also claim that many people now have a new appreciation of fetal life, and that when prospective parents who want to have a child view a sonogram, they typically have no doubt that what they see is their daughter or son. Both sides make important policy arguments, but supporters of Roe and Casey must show that this court has the authority to weigh those arguments and decide how abortion may be regulated in the states. They have failed to make that showing, and thus we return the power to weigh those arguments to the people and their elected representatives. What this essentially means, ladies and gentlemen, from a legal standpoint, is that the states will have the authority now to regulate how it handles abortion. The main thing in Roe v. Wade, and the main quote I have here, if you saw in the screenshot, Roe was egregiously wrong from the start. That is what Justice Alito says in his writing of the majority opinion. Now, I have the link to that in the chat since Black Voltron asks. Hit that like, share, and subscribe button, ladies and gentlemen. We are live. If you are just tuning in, we have breaking news. Alleged leaked opinion of the United States Supreme Court will overturn Roe v. Wade. This is something that many people, I don't think, would live to see. Certainly living in a moment in history right now. I can only check on my timeline because, look, I hang around, being that I do comedy, it's a very liberal area. People will have abortion jokes. It's a very, when that environment is very liberal. So a lot of people will support uh, things like this. I try to keep I don't necessarily not say don't keep my opinions to myself, but some things I just don't argue and fight over. And people, when they're on stage, I respect the First Amendment. Comics have the right to say what they want. But, that area, the entertainment field, especially here in New Orleans, area of comedy is very liberal. It's a vibrant vibrant alphabet community, if you dig my meaning. Uh, they are a lot of feminists that are a part of it. But some people, yeah, and there are some people who don't like this. My brother, and some people who do. My brother Dennis Sperling, who has always been outspoken about this, uh, about abortion, he says Roe v. Wade overturned. Praise God. So just wait until the liberals are gonna start crying about this. I'm wondering how they're gonna tie it into with Ketanji Brown Jackson. That's gonna actually happen. They're gonna tie it in. Black people, you need to go and support. This is why we're gonna vote, because they're gonna overturn our rights, our civil rights. Roe v. Wade. We're gonna do a poll right quick, guys. I'm not gonna be on here too long. I know this was short notice, but I'm gonna do a poll with everybody right now. I want to know, uh, what are your thoughts on Roe v. Wade being overturned? I want to know if you support the Supreme Court decision. So I want you to please look at the chat right now. Oh, I got it in the community, but I'm gonna put it in the. I'm sorry, I'm trying to. I hate when it does this. So far, okay. So I see it now. So far, I got 3 votes. All yay. You are in support of the United States Supreme Court's decision to overturn Roe v. Wade. 4 votes. So all of them are yeses. How are you? So they are taking L's left and right. Now I'm going to talk about that tomorrow. I'm going to talk more about it. What's up, Yanita? Says I am for it. Very good. Black Voltron, you're for it. You support this decision. I take it. Yeah. So you did see the Silent Scream movie I had recommended. Another one. Let me just go this. I'm going to reach out to brother Pastor Clenard Childers because I do want his opinion about this. But I wanted to know. Yeah, you can watch the full movie on YouTube. The Silent Scream is on Venmo and it's on YouTube. And yeah, I'm gonna leave the link to those, but I want to say this. It is graphic. There's death in this. Uh, if you watch it. So be mindful of that. This was made in the 80s. So this means that the states will be able to regulate abortion laws now. Says Roe was egregiously wrong and deeply damaging. For reasons already explained, Roe's constitutional analysis was far outside the bounds of any reasonable interpretation of the various constitutional provisions to which it vaguely pointed. Roe was on a collision course with the Constitution from the day it was decided, and Casey perpetuated its errors, and the errors do not concern some arcane corner of the law of little importance to the American people. Rather, wielding nothing but raw judicial power, the court usurped the power to address a question of profound moral and social importance that the Constitution unequivocally leaves for the people. Yes, it is. That information, what you're talking about, too. Uh, I don't care for this guy, but his name is Ryan Bromberger, and he wrote. He does a lot of things with the Radiance Foundation, and he talked about the Gutenmacher Institute. I don't want to. If I play this video, I think I get a copyright strike, but that's why I'm gonna be careful. So hold on. Let me just play. I guess I could play the video, but it's got a sound in it, so that's why it's gonna be. Just hit that fair use. It's got all right, fair use, fair use. What's up, Frank? All right, well, remember, abortion was created. In truthfulness, abortion is not about women's rights. Really, that's something they throw around to try and throw at people to get them emotionally attached. This is about sex without consequences. It's really about not even that. It's about population control. And your Black Authority was talking about that on his program uh, the other night when he was talking about, I believe, freedom of speech, and he talked and discussed that, and some caller brought this up, stating how this was about population control. And Jason Black stated this was about population control, had nothing to do with rights, and it was about breaking up the family unit. Because you think about it, when around all of this stuff was going on, the family unit was still in attack. But remember, in the mid 60s, we had the war on poverty that was enacted by LBJ, and family units, the fathers was taken from the home. Fathers was taken from the home. We took Bibles out of schools. We took prayer out of schools in the 60s with these Supreme Court decisions. Roe v. Wade, of course, came in subsequently after that. In another case, the Griswold case before abortion, that's what legalized prophylactics and contraceptions. What's up, CL? So this is breaking news for those that don't know. The Supreme Court has made the decision to overturn, based off this leaked opinion, Roe versus Wade. So I did a poll, and I wanted to know what were the results of that poll. So I got 9 votes. So roughly out of 9 votes, it looks like majority has it. 89% say they agree with the decision. Uh, I guess 2 people. If it's 9 votes, 1 or 2 people said no, which leaves it at 11%. I don't know who voted no, but they have, people obviously will have their reasons why. All right, let's take a quick call. I'm about to get on out of here, but let's take some calls. I want the people, uh, if you are opposed to this decision, I want you to call in and explain why you're opposed to it and what's your reasonings for. 504-656-6760. 504-656-6760. So I got a lot of the yays, but any nays here? And I mean, I want to know if there are people that are opposed to it. Why? If you're not opposed to it, I guess you can call in, but speak briefly why you support it, yay or nay. You can do that as well. I'm waiting. I know we may have some delay on it. Nobody wants to call in. Okay. So I think I can end the poll right now because we only got 9 votes in. We have 11% that say no, 89% say yes. So majority of you believe this. Now, let me ask you something. Well, let me ask y'all this. How many of you could say yes or no, believe that since this is an election year, the Democrats are going to be working a whole lot harder to try and get black folks out to vote and use this as an excuse? Who thinks that's going to happen? I can tell you it will happen, but I want to know your opinion. Who think it will happen by show of hands? You put a thumbs up if you do. If you think it will happen, say yes. If you don't, say no. Unsungen one says yes. Anyone else? Derek Bailey says yes. It's coming. Yanita says yes. I'm waiting for Black Voltron. I know he's going to be a yes. I could add Black Voltron to that. But a lot of people think that that's going to come. Absolutely, it's going to come because the Dems, as Professor even Black Truth even talked about, they've been taking L's lately. A lot of L's. Remember, it started last year when that governor's race out in Virginia, when Barack Obama was campaigning for that Democrat, and he lost big time in rural areas in particular. And Van Jones even said that the Democrats were coming off as annoying. And by the way, Van Jones is being attacked because he pissed off some of the Democratic liberals, the far left, by making some remarks. So I can just imagine what's going to happen. What's the story going to be tomorrow with CNN on the sinking ship at CNN? What's going to happen tomorrow? Remember, yeah, Van Jones got ambushed by the View. That's a hell of a thing to be ambushed by Whoopi Goldberg. All you got to do is show her. All you got to do is bring up the fact that she dated Ted Danson, man. Y'all remember that? He said he felt ambushed by the View host because he remember Van was hanging out at one time with Donald Trump. And all he had to do was show Ted Danson in blackface with Whoopi Goldberg smiling. He would have shut their ass up. The crying T.O. The political T.O. Iron Man, he gonna be crying about abortion. You know, the Supreme Court, they they were wrong. This is a whitewash of women. This is a whitewash of everything that we fought for. It's a complete whitewash. So look at this. Yeah, the Democrats on Monday night slammed the leaked Supreme Court majority ruling overturning Roe v. Wade, criticizing the decision as an attack on women's rights across the country. I got a question though. When they always say women's rights, what about the rights of the females that are aborted? Like, do they have rights to that too? All the people who support it, remember they were born. Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, I know Joe Biden supports it. Kamala Harris supports it. Mitch McConnell, all of them. They all were born. Their parents made a decision to have them. This is a 67-page document. And they said Roe v. Wade and Planned Parenthood versus Casey have no grounds in the Constitution. This is huge, ladies and gentlemen. To say the least, we are witnessing history. And I think what I'm going to do tomorrow, I'm going to see if we could have. I'm just looking on my timeline right now. I'm looking at some of the Democrats now, even my friends, like, I can't believe they overturned this. How is this possible? So judge ruled that Tulsa massacre lawsuit seeking reparations can proceed. Next, Brown versus someone wrote Brown. Garland wrote. He always does the Democratic shit. They should. It's a wake up call. Most people don't understand and know the law. Most people fail to understand history. And look, whether you what you feel about the aisle about abortion or not, that's up to you. But I encourage people to do the research before making a decision. I did my research, which is why I stand where I stand. I don't go off emotions. I don't go off of talking points and trigger words that people throw at me. I look at the facts. I look at what's good for society. I look what's not happening for us right now. But this decision has been made. Allegedly, it hasn't been official, but it looks like it's real. My man Dennis Sperling wrote something. Before I go, this is from protectingblacklife.org. According to the United States Center for Disease Control, higher than AIDS, violent crimes, accidents, cancer, and heart disease combined, African Americans are disproportionately impacted by abortion. While representing only 13% of the United States population, African Americans, as it's written here, account for 35% of the nation's abortions, black women. Planned Parenthood, the largest abortion provider in the United States, targets African Americans by locating 62% of their surgical abortion mills in black and minority communities. So this is coming from the United States Center for Disease Control and a Life Issues Connector, October of 2012. And it's from this website. So I don't want to hear anybody saying that I'm making this stuff up, just or that I'm speaking on emotions. I'm presenting you with facts. This is where the information comes from. Now, you can agree with it or not, but that's the facts. But this certainly will have a legal impact. But you know, everybody is tied with the Dems. Someone wrote, well, they're going to look into overturn Brown versus Board of Education. I said, we already got school segregation already. They're not, look, I'm not falling for that Democrat, the Republicans coming for us bullshit. Says everybody likes to tell other people what they can and can't do, but are nowhere to be found to deal with the consequences. Well, all actions have consequences, and that depends on who committed the consequences and what. What are the actions? If you commit something and do something, just like if I commit a crime, you know, they arrest me, you got to man up and take your lick. If you get arrested, people, you know, they say that all the time. You got to deal with it. Everybody has every action has consequences. Some foreseen and some not foreseen. So I take it Valiant Thor supports abortion, support doesn't support this decision. I get that vibe. It depends. I mean, when you say I know we were found to deal with the consequences, it's my responsibility to raise. If you, it's everybody's responsibility to raise someone else's child. If you make a decision to lie up with someone and have children, here's the thing. We go back even in history when we didn't have the resources that we've had and our families didn't have the monies that they, have now. And some people still don't. They even had large families and were able to take care of themselves, although they struggled. They weren't rich. Some of them weren't born with silver spoons in their mouths. Like my family. I don't have, but my immediate family is just me and my brother. My dad, my mom, they came from average size families, 3, 4 kids. My grandparents, my grandfathers, I mean, they had my grandmothers and grandfathers had large families and they didn't have anything, but they dealt with it. I mean, if you got a girl pregnant, anything that happened like that, and you were in school, you had to quit school, and you had to start working. You had to get a job. Your obligations have changed. My dad was talking yesterday with me in the restaurant about how caught my grandfather, his son, my dad's dad, playing hooky. And when my grandfather came home and got ready, the next day he came home, of course, and then the next day when it was time to go to school, he got dressed for school. My grandfather stopped him and said, "No, you're not going to school. You're going to get a job." It's like, "Why? We're getting a job." He's like, "I caught you playing hooky from school, so since you don't want to go to school, guess what? You're going to get a job. You're going to work." And that's what you had to do as a man. He did the same thing with my uncle. He caught him playing hooky and said, "All right, it's time for you to go to work. You're going to get a job." Was my grandfather wrong for that? He was doing what his dad did to him. I mean, my uncle Dennis, uh, he was a working man after that. He had multiple jobs doing manual labor stuff. Uh, you know, he was an average, working man, working with the tile company, Crescent Tile. He did all kinds of jobs to support his family. He raised 3 boys. And, he told my Aunt Barbara, he said once that, while the kids are young, they're with you, but when they get to be preteens, they're mine. In other words, he was going to raise them and train them how to be men. So you had to do what you had to do. So I'm seeing people write different things on my Facebook post. This was going to happen. It's a part of the Sean James wrote. It's part of the cultural paradigm shift I'm seeing happen in America. People are tired of the far left. They're tired of woke and they're tired of irresponsible people in society. Women had a choice before Roe v. Wade. It was called abstaining from sex before marriage. Guess women ain't gonna be able to sleep around with Pookie and Ray Ray anymore. Careful. Someone wrote, careful. This might be a Democratic play. I mean, look, I'm about to get off because I wasn't planning to be a whole hour with it. But whatever happens, like I said, just watch the reaction from the far left, the Dems, towards the black community. That's my main thing I'm looking at. What are they going to say and what they're going to come up with? But the Democratic Party is imploding right now. They are taking L's left and right, and this is a big L. You've heard of Big Earn? This is Big L. You've heard of Big E? This is Big L. Big L. That's a new word, the Big L. I just made a new word, the Big L. Means a big loss is coming in the near future. But y'all hit that like and subscribe button, ladies and gentlemen. Black Voltron said, kiss your asses goodbye, Democrats. Cool. Yeah, I'm like, let them implode. And for those wondering, I want to show you, because y'all supporting, for those especially that support abortion, I just want to show y'all something. Hold on. I showed this video before. I want y'all to look at this. This is how crazy some of these people are. That just, you got to be careful what you're supporting. I want you to look at this. When she was in England, Margaret Sanger made these remarks. She's the founder of Planned Parenthood. I want you to listen very carefully to what she had to say. Hold on. Now, where is it? Oh. Yeah, okay, so this is it here.
Because Planned Parenthood Federation maintains that European women should stop having babies for the next 10 years.
Don't you think such a theory, such a radical theory, is antisocial? On the contrary, it seems to me that it is more practical and humane.
What about the women who want babies now and in 10 years will not be able to have babies? More impractical, don't you think?
Oh, John, you ask hard questions. I should think that instead of being practical, it is really very practical and intelligent and humane.
But Mrs. Lee, in this country, having babies is everything that's both unrational and untaxed. Do you think we really ought to stop?
Well, I suppose something like that is really so personal that it's entirely up to the parents to decide. But from my view, I believe there should be no more babies. I suppose something like that is really so personal that it's entirely up to the parents to decide. But from my view, I believe there should be no more babies.
From my view, I believe there should be no more babies. Okay. That's why I don't rocks with this. What about the right to life? I hear people talking about the right to fundamental right to privacy and the right to procreate, which is true. You have a fundamental right to that, but you also have a fundamental right to life. And the old saying goes that your rights stop where mine begin. So where does it begin? Does it begin at the moment of life? Y'all hit that like, share, subscribe button. I'm gonna get on out of here, y'all. Uh Valiant Thor says, I'm a woman and a practicing attorney. Okay. She says, most men, remember, most women, modern women don't care about your struggles. They just hang out at the finish line and take the house, car, pension, and kids. All right, good to know. Y'all hit that like, share, and subscribe button, man. When I posted the article, it said Roe v. Wade to be overturned. Just look, y'all should look at Valiant Thor. Maybe you just. But I want y'all to think about that, especially those that support abortion, those that support this stuff. This woman said it all and why it was created. Eugenics. All right, well, y'all just leave that over there, man. If people B1 Beauty Supply says I am a black family first. Valiant Thor, I take it you listen to Kevin Samuels and O'Shea Duke Jackson. I listen to some stuff other those guys say. I have listened to them in the past. And some stuff they say I agree with, but there's some other stuff I'm not a fan of. I'll just put it that way. All right, y'all. I'm gonna get on out of here. Hit that like, share, and subscribe button. But uh yeah, this is some breaking news. And I could be talking about this for days on my Facebook posts. I'm not gonna do that. But I'm talking about it here. So you all be safe, be blessed. I'll holler at you tomorrow. I'm trying to see if we can guest tomorrow. So I'll see y'all. Peace.